Good day. Today is the 12th of June 2026. It is the sad first anniversary of Air India Flight 171 that crashed in Ahmedabad, India, where 260 people lost their life. We still do not have the final report, for what I know. They have not released the cockpit voice recorder audio. The cause of the crash has not been determined yet officially, but I am in a position to affirm that the crash was not caused by a pilot error or a pilot suicide, like some YouTube pilots have accused them on social networks. This, for me, was highly infuriating. In August 2025, I made a video. I was quite angry. I expressed what I thought about it. It was directed to one of the most visible voices in the YouTube pilot community, Captain Steve. I honestly appreciate what he's done over the years for aviation lovers to understand everything that's going on in a modern day cockpit of an aircraft that have become more and more electronically fly by wire in comparison when I think the last aircraft that were flown with cable, push-pull, mechanical means was like the Lockheed TriStar 1011. Today, it's fly-by-wire. So this will have something to do and the potential cause of the crash, but my video is not to determine the cause. My video is a direct affirmation that it is impossible that the aircraft, like the image you see in the background, the aircraft could not have come off the ground at the moment, the timestamp that we have there, 108 hour, 8 minute, 39 second, is the moment they call weight off wheels. And that's when the aircraft becomes airborne. And they accuse the pilots. One pilot, the captain of the flight, was sitting on the left, and it's the first officer, co-pilot, that was doing the flying. And they accused them, or the pilot on the left, the captain, that he would have switched off, pulled on the switches, flipped them down to switch off those are the fuel control switches. But the thing I will demonstrate to you is that the aircraft flew it went up 14 seconds until it leveled, and then it continued for another 17 seconds. It stayed in the air 32 seconds until the crash. So let me show you first a video where you will see some time steps, and you will see the aircraft come from the right. Let me take you there. So this is the video. You will see the aircraft arrive from the right here along the runway. It will reach a speed they call V1, which is, it's not the speed, it's more like It's a speed, but it's the position on the runway from which point they have to decide they take off or abort takeoff and still have time to stop before the end of the runway. After this, you're going to see VR, which is the rotation speed. They're going fast enough to take off. They will come up off the ground here behind this construction here, and you will see the timestamps here turn. At 08 hours, 08 minute, 39 seconds is the time that they will take off from the ground. You will observe the aircraft rise with your own eyes for up to 14 seconds until then they leveled off. And from that point, so at 15 seconds after wheels come off, they go level. They try to relight the turbines. This is why you will see timestamps. It'll run very fast. We'll go through it later. But they had to physically take the switches, take the switch, pull it down, bring it back up, and release it. They did that on one turbine first, I guess, to see what the effect would be, because they had problems in the aircraft where they definitely had problems. The reason we can say that is because we got the timestamps. The timestamps would correspond to the cockpit voice recorder audio that 1 year after the crash, they still have not released. And let's first watch it full speed, and we will talk about it again. Let's roll. And at the end, there will be an overlay of another view. V1, VR, rotation, goes, wow, say it's weight off wheels. Watch it rise. Watch it rise from the buildings in the background. It's rising. It's rising. It's still rising. Here it's leveling off. 54, 55 seconds roughly. Now they're relighting. They're trying to relight. Every time I watch this, 260 people just died. 241 inside the aircraft and 19 on the ground. So let's review all of this. So this is V1, like I said, decision speed. A little bit further. They're going fast enough to do the rotation. They will come off the ground behind this building. And it's important, this building, I use those markings on the ground here, those little arrows, that little access road. These are equipment for airports they put in those buildings there. And I was able to find that on Google Earth. I will show you that. And there will be another picture that we got from the AAIB, that's the Indian Safety Agency that issued the preliminary report, from the side of the aircraft with buildings in the background. Let me show you where I'm going with this. Oh, that's not it. That's my lake in Quebec, Orford Lake. Let's go here. Let's fly to India, to Ahmedabad Airport. Exactly. Okay, let me talk to you about this. Okay, so you know that little construction I was talking to you about? in the video we're watching? It is right here. Let me zoom in. This is it right here. Okay. Now, I estimated the position of that camera to be here because of those arrows on the ground, those markings that you saw in the video. Also, if I zoom out of there, you can see they took off from runway 23 in a southwesterly direction. This is where I estimate they took off, weight off wheels. That's what it means. And here, let me do something here. Hold on. Okay, this is better. Now, what I was able to do, you see those lines here? They're line of sights from an image we got from the only image they released in the AAIB report, which I'm going to show you right now. So this is the image they released in the preliminary report during we don't know when, but in there there's the ram air turbine can be seen under here. So where was the aircraft over the runway when this picture was taken? So here is what I did. I took the picture they released. I found all those buildings in the background and some markings on the runway, those little things here. Those are access roads, service access roads. All this is inside the perimeter of the airport. So building here in the back here, etc. So if I go back to our Google Earth, this is what I'm talking about here. Those lines. Building in the background. You see those buildings here? Oops. Sorry. I want to go back here. Now, if I move to the left here, this is the crash site. Because again, in the same report, they showed exactly where the aircraft fell. And these images are quite recent. They're from April 2026. And you can actually see here, this is the line left by the fuselage of the aircraft. One turbine was ripped off the wing against this cement. I'll show you. And the other engine ended along against one of those buildings here. And this is where the aircraft crashed and burned. And this is where also the only survivor was able to, I assume, because all of this was covered in fire, he came out in the street somewhere. I presume it's here. It's not important to know exactly where he came out, but it's most likely that he came around, and we can see that. We'll see it in the video later. Okay, but let's stick to this here is a projection of the center line extended from the runway. Okay, I was able to determine that this distance here is about 250 feet. So the aircraft was drifting to the left. And this is important because the other thing we can see in the video when we look at it, let me show you. You see it take off, and I will try to stop it here at the summit. Okay, right there, it's going level. Okay, let's stop it here. there's something I was able to do. Is at this point here, you have the wingspan. The wingspan of a Boeing 787 is known. So let me show you what this looks like. So this is what I'm talking about. You can see the wingspan here, and you can take this and rotate it in that plane. It's more or less accurate. You can see that the wing, half of the wingspan, they're half a wingspan off the ground. Okay. And since this is a video of a video, which changes the focus, it's zooming in and out, I use the method where I use the pixels in the image. And I simply made, like, this is a known length, the wingspan of a 787. So I was able to determine the proportion, how high it was from the ground. Okay. So at 51 seconds here, that's roughly, they were roughly one total wingspan off the ground. And back to this image here. Nobody knew where the aircraft was. All this, the question is, you can see here, like they could see the ram air turbine. They did some better image enhancement, and they determined that the ram air turbine was out at that point, but we didn't know where on the runway. And I'll show you where they were on the runway. But before I do, let me tell you, the diameter of the fuselage is a known dimension. The diameter of those turbines is a known dimension. And the height of the vertical stabilizer from the wheels is also. I'm not precise within 1 meter, but it is quite precise to say they were not 600 feet up in the air. They were maximum 200 feet off the air, up above ground, AGL, at that point. So where is that point on the runway? That's what I think it's something unique that I did. And I spoke about that to the lawyer of the families, Mr. Mike Andrews, in late July of 2025 or August. He was kind enough to get back to me. I've explained to him this, and they said they don't know yet what was wrong, but they have all the indications that it was not a pilot suicide, which is what I want to prove. Let's roll. So, like I said, we have where my camera was located, from the left side where we saw the aircraft take off. A little building construction here, and where I think they took off. And I wanted to know if that makes sense from the specification of this aircraft, the distance from the end of the runway. So here we go. With Google Earth, you simply take that distance here, okay, and go up to here. And what have we got? About 7,500 feet. I checked that. It's 7,500 feet. And if I clear that, the length of the runway, I think, is 12,000 feet. So it's a very long runway. So where were they? Let's clear that. Where were they in relation to the end of the runway when that picture here was taken? I think it answers exactly how high the aircraft went, maximum, and the maximum speed we know that it reached. Let me show you. So this is the preliminary report I always talk to you about. AAIB, it stands for Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau. In this report, let me show you quickly. Okay. These are the images. I was able to find that building is exactly what you see here. You see, this is the building. These are the other buildings that you will see in the report. So that's the building. This is the tail of the aircraft. Yep, it's still hanging there. Okay. And there's a cement construction here. Let me go through. Let's go down. You see here, at that point, they had taken the tail down to the ground. And the right wing fell here. The right engine was torn off here. You'll see it in another picture. Left engine, you see it came in this direction, and the left engine stopped here. Here in the report, as the aircraft was losing altitude, it initially made contact with a series of trees and incineration chimney inside the Army Medical Corps compound before impacting the northeast wall of the building A. The distance between the tree on which the aircraft made its initial contact and the point on building B, A, where the aircraft impacted. So you got all those details. Sorry. This is the tail of the aircraft while it was still embedded in the building. And you can see here, let me mention this, there's I think it's the APU, Auxiliary Power Unit. We'll talk about that. This is where the right engine was torn off. It stayed on the roof of the building here. This is made of titanium. One of the wings, that's the left engine. It ended up here. A close-up view. You can see these are the N2 blades. These are the blades of that extract the power from combustion. Very important. We will be talking about thermodynamics, jet propulsion, the time it takes for when you cut fuel supply, like they have been accused of doing, time it takes for this rotation speed to drop. We'll talk about that. This is the APU, that's Auxiliary Power Unit. Okay, and you will see that mentioned in the timestamps. Let me show you the timestamps, what they are. Okay. Now, before I do, let me show you this. Okay, here we have the flap handle lever. So there was a lot of speculation whether or not they said, oh, they crashed because they didn't put the flaps in the proper configuration for takeoff. Flaps in the right position. They said they didn't raise the gear quick enough. The gear was down, but they had other things to do than trying to raise the gear when 4 seconds after they came off the ground. It must have been like a Christmas tree in this cockpit. There must have been a lot of alarms, because if the computer got messages that they had switched off the fuel control switches, there must have been a lot of alarms and a lot of talking inside the cockpit. So we will talk about that. Here, it is this is how they found it. Okay. Again, these are the thrust lever. You know that when they push the throttle, that's how they found them. And those are the famous fuel control switches. These switches, where you see here, to switch that off, you can't simply press on it, it won't go. You have to pull down and release it, it comes back in. Same thing. If so the only time they use those switches when you get in an airplane, they close the doors. They start the APU in the back. The APU is what they're connected with ground power. They got the electricity from an external power unit. They will, to get air conditioning in the airplane going, the APU will be running in the back of the airplane to generate electricity, and I think they also produce compressed air. So those are the switches that we talk about. These are the timestamps, some of the timestamps, okay? So they requested a pushback at 7:43 a.m. and they were transferred from ground to control, etc., etc. And we'll go in detail through this. These are the EAFR was located on the rooftop of building. So those are some of the boxes that they recuperated. Now, that picture talks a lot. Let's read the description they make of it. This is highly controversial. In the cockpit voice recording, one of the pilots is heard asking the other, why did he cut off? And the other pilot says, he did not. Imagine. The CCTV footage obtained from airport showed ram air turbine, RAT, getting deployed during the initial climb immediately after liftoff. So they imply that this picture is taken immediately after liftoff. Now, immediate, does it mean it's while it's still going up? Where it's leveling off? Or where it's coming down? I thought it was very important to determine this. Now, again, this picture, what do you see? This is where passengers, that's the gates, some of the gates, okay? And here in the background, this big building, I was able to find it. And on the ground here, there were some construction, like this one here. This tower here. Let me show you what it is. This is it. Okay? And you got those little things here. You can all see that. Those buildings, the big building in the background here. You see? Those buildings in the background. Here they are. Sorry. These are line of sights. So you converge those lines. My estimate, because it's a mystery, where that they call it a CCTV camera. Look, in the report, they say the CCTV footage. Is that a video? Is that a screenshot from a video? I presume it is. Why didn't they release the whole damn sequence so we can see where they are when they fly in front? So again, from this image, the diameter of the turbines is a known diameter. The diameter of the fuselage is 18 feet 11 inches. The overall length of the aircraft 186 feet. So all those dimensions are known. But here it's easy to see that they are not very far off the ground. Okay.